one of the questions we get is, what do dance instructors, particularly Chicago step instructors, need? What are they missing, right? I think the biggest thing that they're missing is an understanding of the dynamics of the dance. When I say the dynamics of the dance, I mean how the dance actually works. What's the engine behind it, right? And I think one of the misinterpretations of it is that it's structured around steps. It's not. You talk to anyone who's been dancing more than 25, 30 years, if you ask them what's the most important part of the dance, they're going to tell you the music. Not just any music, not music that's a certain number of beats per minute, not music that's by a certain type of artist or that has a certain type of bass line. It's about music that tells stories, particularly stories that evoke emotions, because emotions is what fuels style in dance. And that's across the board, whether you're at an Alvin Ailey concert or whether you're at a Chicago step set. The emotion that's generated from the music is the fuel or the engine for how that dance is performed. Are there steps in the dance? Yes, most certainly. But are they the most important and primary part? No, they're not. So when we talk about how the dance is introduced, we're missing such a big part of the spirit of the dance. And that is what ends up missing. So when people are watching people from other places do the dance, they say, oh, you're not from Chicago, or they're not from Chicago, or they didn't learn in Chicago. Because it's easy to see that they're doing or adhering to steps and a framework of steps, and everything that they're doing is locked into the idea of these steps, the turns that they're doing, how they're leading, how they're following, the pauses, the breaks. All of those different things can easily be seen, especially if the movement doesn't match the story, the tempo, the vibe of the song that's playing. Is it a executable move? Possibly. But if it doesn't draw on the music that's playing or the vibe of that particular song, there's a disconnect. And it's easier to see that there's a focus on steps. It's easier to see that there's a focus on something that's not the music, that there's maybe some anxiety about getting the steps right over reflecting the story, the feelings, and the mood of the artists who shared their artistic moment with us in a song. So when those things are absent, we're in a place where now, how do we teach this person to get better? Or how do we reignite or re-inject this person with a deeper understanding of the more important elements of the dance? We have to look at what that dance is really about. That's one of the primary things that's missing, because we're so concerned about doing the right steps. We're so concerned about teaching in the right order. Well, this is the module that such and such gave me, or the module that this other person gave me. The reality is that's not how human beings learn. Human beings learn by seeing how to apply something to something that they can actually touch and feel. What are they listening to that they should be reflecting? One of the things sometimes I say to my students is, when you listen to this song, what color is it? Does it sound like clouds, or does it sound like wind? Does it sound like anger, or does it sound like happiness? Because those are the things that you need to hear to understand how you execute the steps, not the order that you're doing steps in, because you aren't going to focus on both of those things. So when we're talking about teaching effectively, we, as instructors, we have to understand the importance of framework. Yes. But what are the other parts of the dance that we have to be aware of and have the tools and skills to help people implement? Our job is not to be PhD dancers. Our job is to be effective coaches to assist people to finding themselves in the dance, not to find duplicates of ourselves who do it like us because we say that's how it's supposed to be done, but individuals who are able to do what we're saying their way with a description of what the boundaries are. So to teach effectively, those are things that we need to learn as instructors how to do, because unfortunately, most of us haven't been exposed to methodology that allows us to do that. We're told if we dance and connect the dots, that will be effective. But we're also asking people to wait 10 years in order to be effective with that methodology, because you have to do it for so long before it becomes like riding a bike. When what we should be doing is find the easiest mechanisms and tools to allow people to find the motion of the dance, to allow people to know the parameters of the dance and how to attach that to what they're listening to, not a format that's written down because, oh, this is going to make it easy to learn the dance. There are several easy ways of doing it that attaches the dance to the music, which should be first and foremost in an instructor's mind, because ultimately the student wants to be able to go anywhere and dance with anybody. If we have things focused on steps and a strict format, now we're asking people to govern everything they do by that. That's not the music. And that's our primary job as instructors, to introduce them to that.